have to share entire display 1. Okay. Yes, I have shared. Can you see my screen? Yes. Oh, he has not joined. Manoj not joined. Hello, Manoj. Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen? Revit screen. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is my screen. Ding. Audio, video, everything is fine. We are recording this video privately. Okay. So once we finish the class, then I will share it for your reference. Okay. This will be shared for members only. All right. Now, see, till today, we have seen a basic understanding of Revit modeling. We have seen wall, door, window, and a component. In the component, place a component. What is place a component? Loading from library and just place it. Okay, so for an example, I'm going to load a table. Then I have to go to insert, load family. Then I have to select the folder. Let's say for furniture, tables, then select a desk, open. Now the desk got loaded into your project. Now I have to go to architecture, go to component, then place a component. Then, so from the list you can select which element you want to place, select and check the level or host, then you can just place. Okay, if I go to 3D view, you can see them. Architecture, go to component, then place a component. If you want to change the level of your placed element, select and go to level, then change it to level 1. Okay, select, change the level 1. So that's how you have to work with your component. If you press space bar, then it will rotate. Okay, in case if you are rotating this table, now this is inclined. If you are placing a new chair, then you can press tab to align with the angle. You have to press the space bar again. Okay, so to rotate. If you want to align with this angle, just highlight the side, then press space bar. It will align. Then place. Okay, so that's a two shortcuts: select and rotate. Then when you are placing, you can also highlight, then align. You have to press space bar. Okay, so that's about placing an element. Then columns. If I go to any plan, you can place the column in the 3D view also. I can take a column. It can be structural column or architecture column, but you should know the difference. So what is a structural column, what is an architecture column? So I'm going to take architecture column, and then I'm going to place. Okay, now I'm going to take a structural column, then I'm going to place. Okay, so it's not visible. Okay, so let me do that again. I'm going to undo structure column. Before I place structure column, I have to check, is it going below or above? Height till level 1, then place. Okay, so this column is going from 0 to 1. So this column is going from 0 to 1. Okay, now the view property showing the discipline of architecture. Okay, so that's the view settings architecture. If I change this discipline to structure, then I see both. If I change this to mechanical, you can see both of them are in gray mode. If I change this to collaboration, then it will show in highlighted mode. So we are getting the graphics based on the discipline of a view. You have to think like, is it a floor plan by an architect or a framing plan by a structural engineer? That's all. You just have to check who is doing it. Okay, if it's an architecture floor plan, you have to check here, it should be architecture. So if it is a structural framing plan, then you have to make it as a structural discipline. Then you will get the graphics automatically. Okay, understood? In case if an architect preparing a floor plan, then use floor plan level 0. If a structural engineer preparing a framing plan, better use structural plans. Structural plan. Then use these views. Okay. So the discipline should be set to structure. Okay. So there is a difference. I will show you how it works. Okay. So if I go for architecture wall, if I go for architecture wall, I'm drawing a wall. Okay, so this is an architecture wall. I'm going to draw another wall that will be structural wall. Okay, so this is a structural wall. Actually, both the walls are basic wall exterior 1 or 2 block work, 75 inches 100 LP something. Okay, so both the walls are same type. The only difference is here structural properties not checked. So here structural properties checked. Okay, structural checked. Okay, so that's the only difference between architecture wall and structural wall. But so if you change this discipline into architecture, both the walls are visible. If I change this discipline into a structure, then architecture wall is hidden. Why it's hidden? Because it's a structural view. Now this is a structural view. So that is why architecture wall is hidden. So if I place a table, okay, and if it is structure, so if Revit consider this element as architecture only, then it won't be visible. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. In case if you think something is missing, then you make this discipline into coordination, then everything will be visible. If you want to show architecture and the structure to be a grayscale, and if you want to highlight mechanical, then you have to change this to mechanical. All architecture and structural element will be gray. Okay, so that's the basic settings of this discipline. Okay, so here we have an option called show hidden lines. Yes, please tell me. If you're having a doubt, please ask. Please ask. Yes, yeah, correct. Okay, so it depends on your discipline. Okay, when you are going for architecture, so architect will show an architecture wall and a structure wall. But in an engineering drawing, they will not show architecture wall. In case if a structural engineer wanted to show, then they will use the discipline settings to a coordination mode. So he wanted to coordinate with the architecture intent design, all the discipline. He just wanted to keep it in the drawing. Then he can use coordination. For coordination, he is using it. So everything will be highlighted. Okay, if you go to visibility graphics, okay, this is the visibility graphics override option. So here if you go, so here we have an option called architecture. This is a filter list: architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, infrastructure. Okay, so if you uncheck all the structure item, okay, so only the architecture categories are listed. Now you can select everything and you can make it as halftone. Okay, and if you enable structure and if you say okay, you can see even the structure item also halftone. Okay, so why? Because even the structural column also half-toned in the list. Okay, let's say structural column also half-tone. If I go to just architecture, structural column also listed in architecture. If I keep only structure, what is there in structure? Structural foundation, structural framing. These are listed only in structure. Oh, structural column also there. So then structural column is there in both the discipline. So like this, the Revit has some default listing. Okay, based on that your graphics will change. Okay, so in case if you think I am searching for wall, there is no wall category. You can say there is no wall category. Then you have to check this list, filter list. Yeah, you have to check this filter list. Then you can go for wall. Then you'll find wall in the list. Okay, so this is for a small understanding. Let's go to okay, so I'm just going to delete everything. Okay, now let's say I'm going to level 1. So now we know till here component. What is a component? Place a component, we know. What is column? Structural column and architecture column, both are different. So if you want to load from library, then you have to go to insert, load family, then you have to go to structural column. If you want to load structural columns, there is a folder. If you want to load architecture column, then you have to load from just columns. Okay, so this is architecture column folder. So if you want to go for structural column, you have to go for structural column folder. Okay, go to architecture. So now you know how to draw a roof, what is roof by extrusion, you know these things, and the ceiling and floor, architecture floor and structure floor, both the floors are same, only the structural properties checked or unchecked, so we have to check. Okay, for example, this is an architecture floor. You can see structural, it's not checked. Okay, if I take structural floor, then structural properties checked. That's the only difference. All the types are same. You can use the same type for architecture or structure. Okay, Then you know the curtain wall. We know how to add curtain grid and mullion. How to add a curtain wall? Go for wall. In the wall we have three types. One is basic wall, second one is curtain wall, third one is stacked wall. So you have to draw a curtain wall. So this is a simple glass wall. Then we have to divide this wall with the grid, curtain grid. Divide this with the horizontal and vertical grid. Okay, and assign mullion. Okay, so we know till here. And then we saw a sample configuration about the handrail, right? The top rail, non-continuous rail, start post, end post, corner post, and baluster configuration we have seen. We have also checked a sample Revit file, right? Then we have seen how to draw a staircase and how to draw a ramp. How staircase and ramp works we have seen. If you select a ramp, if you go to edit type, then we have ramp slope, we have a constraint. Okay, so we have two constraint, maximum incline length and ramp maximum slope. So we have these options we have to change in case if you want to have more slope. And we have also discussed how to draw a ramp with the sketch option. We have to draw boundary and riser, right? How to draw a staircase? In staircase we have three types: assembled stair, cast in place stair, precast. Okay, so every staircase will have its own rules: maximum riser height, maximum tread, minimum tread depth, minimum run width. So we have to set before we draw staircase. And what is run type? If you go here, we have material and thickness, structural thickness. Tread means what? What is tread? Uh, the finish. Tread means finish above the structure. And riser means what? What is a riser? Riser means the vertical finish. Yes, height of the steps. Actually vertical finish, right? Yes, okay. And then we have identity data and IFC parameters. Okay. Then so we have discussed on room and area and opening, how opening works, and levels and grids. So now what we have to discuss? We have to discuss on the model text, model line, and model group. Okay, and I will also show you what is work plane. This is actually very simple to understand. Okay, it's easy to understand. Let's go for model panel. We have model text, model line, and a model group. Okay, so let me just delete this wall. Okay, let's go to level 0. Okay, so I'm going to take model text. When I take model text, there will be a window popping up. So we just have to enter our text. Let's say it is model text and say OK. And you just have to place the text somewhere. Okay, so I have just placed my text here. If I go to view, 3D view, then you can see this is my text. It's a 3D text. So if you want to configure the text style and the thickness, then you have to select, and here you can see we have all the instance property. What instance property we have? We have the text. So I can change this text. I have to click in here and I have to change Okay, select the text, go to horizontal alignment, left, right, center, it's all same. Then the material, so you can give a paint, what material it should have. You can also say it's a brick. Select, say okay. This is made of brick now. Select, and we have depth option 200. Depth means the thickness. Okay, select, and then we have identity data and facing. Okay, so they are common properties. If I go to edit type, then in the type I have the font style, the text size, and whether it should be bold or italic, that we can check. That's all. Okay, bold means the thickness actually big. That's the only difference. If I go to select, edit type, if I change this to, then this is the result, bold and non-bold. Okay, so that's about model text. So in the model text, we should check. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Yes, select, and you can see model text 600 Arial. So go to edit type and duplicate, and then change the style. Okay, these are recent types. Yeah, okay. Actually, see, this is the type selector. If the type is available, then you can select. If the type is not available, then you have to create. Okay, all right. Now let me show you. If I go to wall, and I'm going to draw the wall in level 0 and keep the height till level 1, and I'm going to draw a wall. Okay, let's draw a basic wall. I'm going to architecture, take a model text, and then say there is some store name, then say okay. You can place the store name on the wall. So to place the store name, by default Revit is showing the level as the work plane, so you have to change the work plane. So how to change the work plane? So we have a work plane panel. You have to go to set work plane, then pick a plane, say okay, and select wall face. Now wall face is the work plane. So if you want to see you can click on show, and Revit is showing the current work plane. Okay, now if I go to architecture, take a model text. Okay, so say store name. If I say okay, you can see here store name. So this is the store name. Select the depth, you can change the material, you can apply, you can also paint the name. You can use modify, go to paint tool. Okay, paint tool. So from here you can select the material and you can paint an item. So you can paint or you can change entire text material. You can change the entire text material. Okay, so here what you're learning is how to set your work plane. Okay, if I go to architecture, so we have work plane. Okay, so we have to set work plane. Yes, please ask. No, we have to select each face. You can paint one side at a time. So in an element, one side at a time. Okay, so now let us carefully watch how to set work plane. Okay, setting work plane is very important. Okay, so just watch carefully. I'm going to set work plane. I'm going to set work plane. In the set work plane option, we have three options. I can take it from the list. Okay, in the list, what do I have? I have the existing work plane and the current work plane and levels, level 0, level 1. If I set level 0, then you can see the blue color, now it's showing in level 0. If I change this to level 1, now you can see this is showing it in level 1. Now level 1 is the work plane, so this is showing in a blue color box because the show work plane is checked. If I uncheck, it will not show. So if you want to see what is the work plane, then you can just show, then it will highlight. Okay, so now if I go to architecture, model text, if I say okay, I can place on level 2. Okay, so you can see I can place on level 1. So the current work plane is level 1 now. Okay, so I can place on level 1. If I change this to level 0, now if I take model text, now I can place my text on level 0. So that's the difference. Now let's say I need a work plane which is inclined, then I have to set the work plane. Okay, so I have to set a inclined work plane. So what I have to do, I can go to level 0, then I can go to this elevation. Okay, so this is a vertical plane now. Now I can set a work plane. Okay, pick a plane and just select the face of the wall. Now I can go to reference plane. I can take a reference plane. I can draw an inclined line. So this line can be used as a reference plane or work plane. So this reference plane has to be named. It should be named. Okay. Now I'm going to view 3D view. Okay. Now I'm going to set work plane. Let us select reference plane 1. Reference 1. So that's the name. And if I say OK, now you can see the reference plane, the inclined plane. Now if I place a text, I can place the text on this inclined plane. Can you see the difference? Okay. So now you know what is set work plane and what is pickup plane and what is show work plane and what is reference plane. So and what is viewer. Viewer is just a duplicate view, will show you where is the work plane. So for level 0, the work plane is aligned to the screen, parallel to the screen, we can say. If I go to 3D, now you can see the work plane. So this will show you just a duplicate of the view and it will highlight the work plane. That's it. You can just check where is the work plane. So that's about viewer. Okay. So for most of my students, the reference lines are so complicated. Okay. So initially it will be complicated, but once you have a purpose of creating a work plane as inclined, then you will understand better. Okay. So you will understand better when you are learning model in place option. Okay, let me show you a small example, then we will go for question and answer. Okay, give me 2 minutes, I will explain model in place. Okay, so model in place actually an interesting tool. Okay, let's say I'm going to change the work plane to level 0. Okay, what I have to do, I have to go to set work plane. From the list I can select level 0 and say OK. Now the current work plane is level 0. Now I'm going to start model in place. Okay, if I go to model in place, I have to select a category. Okay, so let's go for generic model. I don't have any specific category now, so I'm just going to keep it as generic model. Say OK. I have to name it. Let's name it as generic model 1. Okay, so now you can see I have different options: create, insert, annotate, view, manage, add-ins, quantity, and modify. Quantification actually an add-in. Okay, so usually you won't get this tab. Now to model, I have 5 options: extrusion, bend, revolve, sweep, swept blend. Today we are focusing on how to use a work plane. Okay, and how to draw a reference plane and how to use them as work plane. So we are focusing on reference plane today. See here, I am in 3D view. I can take an extrusion. For extrusion, what should I do? I have to draw a boundary, and once I finish, I will get an extrusion. So this is an extrusion. Okay. Now I can finish. Once I finish, I am coming out of model in place. Now I can see architecture, structure, options. Okay, so this is model in place. If I want to edit this option, If I want to edit this element, then I can go to edit in place option, select edit in place, then go to create, go for set work plane, pick a plane, then select the face. Now the work plane changed to a face of the extrusion. Now I can go to create, I can draw an extrusion, I can draw a boundary, and once I finish, I will get the extrusion and I can finish. In case if I want to cut this object, this rectangle with the triangle, I can select, I can edit in place, select and make this triangle to a void, change this to a void. Now this is a void and this is a solid. So once we merge both of them, now you can cut geometry, you can select both and you can see this is cutting the solid. Okay, so let me show you again. I'm going to level 0. Okay, I'm going to draw a reference plane. So this is my reference plane. I have to name it. Let's name it as reference 2. Okay, I'm going to view section. Let's take a section. Right click, go to view. Now in this view, I have to set work plane. Let's go to architecture, set work plane, and from the list I can select reference 2. Okay, now I'm going to draw a model line. What is a model line? It's a 3D line. I am drawing a model line. Okay, so I have drawn a model line. Okay, now if I go to view, 3D view, you can see this is drawn on a vertical plane. Okay, are you understanding? Okay, so this is my reference line, and I set the reference line in the section, and I have drawn the model line. So that's why it's looking like this. Okay, now if I need an inclined reference line, in case if I need an inclined reference line, what should I do first? I have to go to the section, then I have to go to architecture and go for reference plane, and then just draw a line and name it reference 3. Now to draw something on this plane, I have to go to architecture, set work plane, and then go for reference plane 3. If I say OK, it will show you a list of view which will help us to draw on the selected work plane. Select 3D view, say open. Now 3D view is the active view. Okay, so this is my reference plane, and now I can draw my model line. I can draw my model line on this reference plane. Go to front view. Now you'll see. Just to do some trial and error, then you will understand what is a reference line and how to set the reference line as a work plane. Okay, the third one is model group. Model group is nothing but a group of model elements. It can be model line or a door, window, wall, column, any 3D model. If you select and if you make it as a group, it is model group. Okay, for example, I am selecting this element and I'm going to make this as a group. How to make as a group? See, you see here there is a create panel, and here we have create a group option. Okay, so I'm going to select another two element. Okay, and create a group. You have to give a name, say okay. Now the group is created, and the same group will be added in your project browser. In the project browser we have group 1, so you can drag, next time you can drag the group and you can just place. So this is group 1. In case if you want to make any change in the group 1, that will change everywhere in the group 1. That's a benefit of group. Okay, so the same like model group, we have 2D group, detail group also. If I go to annotate, we have detail group. Okay, so we have detail group here. So what is a detail group? Is a group of 2D items. It can be text dimension and lines, hatches, detail component, all the 2D items. It will be detail group. For example, I am drawing a detail line. This is a detail line. I'm going to select everything and go to create panel and create a group. Give a name. Detail group 1. Once I create the group, it will be added in your project browser. This is your detail group. Next time just drag and place. So it will create a copy of detail group 1. If you are changing anything, if I go to edit group and if you change anything in the group, okay, the same change will be updated everywhere. Okay, so that's a benefit of creating groups. Okay, now have you understood all the tools, at least something about these tools? Okay, so practice a little bit, then you will see more in detail. Okay, any questions? Yes. Yes. How to set a specific angle? Yes. When you are drawing it in the section, then you have to set it. You have to set it for the right degree. So you need a reference. So let's draw a horizontal line and then measure angle. Then measure angle. Select the line, change the angle to 30 degree. So now this is exactly at 30 degree. So when I change the angle, all the element also moved to the angle. So whatever the elements are drawn or placed on this reference plane, so when the reference plane changed to a particular angle, or if it is rotated or if it is moved, then all the element which is drawn or placed on the reference plane will move. For example, I'm moving up, you can see that's moving. because that's drawn on the reference plane. Okay, how to set it to, okay, how to do it for 30 degree? Go to architecture and go to reference plane, then just draw a reference plane. You will see a temporary dimension. Okay, you can draw it at any angle. Select, you will see the degree. So if it's not correct, go to annotate, go to angular dimension. Okay, take a dimension, select the item, then change the angle to 30 degree. Now it is set. Now it's set. Anything else? Okay, so now most of my students, sir, I have drawn this in an angle. Now my manager is asking me to rotate to a vertical or horizontal. How can I do that? See, if you are drawing it on a reference plane or in another work plane, this item is on the plane. Okay, you cannot rotate against the work plane. Yes, you have to rotate the work plane, then the object also will rotate. See, sometimes they ask it like, I wanted to go to a particular direction and I just want to rotate. It won't rotate in this direction. Okay, it will follow the work plane. It will follow the work plane. Okay. If I want to rotate against this plane, you can see there is a block symbol, stop symbol. It will not work. Okay, Revit element will obey reference plane. Okay, so in case if you want to rotate any element, then you have to rotate the reference plane. Otherwise, delete the element which is drawn in a wrong plane, then create a plane which is suitable, then draw it. That's all. Okay. Okay. If there is any other questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll close. Today class is all about architecture tools. We have seen all the tools. Okay, just to try, then you will get lots of doubt. Then I can explain you better. So next class, I will go through structural tools. Okay, I will go through structural tools. Maybe you don't need the reinforcement thing, but otherwise everything is basic. Everything is basic except this connection and reinforcement. Even here we have the model component, work plane and opening. So we know all of these. You have to learn what is a truss and what is bracing and beam system. So otherwise everything is self-explanatory. Okay, we'll go through the structural tools once, then we'll go for graphics and how to create sheets, how to manage your project, those things. Okay, all right, we'll close. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye. If Lijo, if you're having any doubt, you can ask. Yes. Yes. Can we close this recording? I will just close this recording, then we can discuss. Okay. Thank you. Bye.